Good afternoon, students. In the last class, we studied about hydrides, isn't it? We studied about hydrides. So there are mainly three types of hydrides. In that first one is saline hydride, or else salt-like hydride, or else ionic hydride, isn't it? Salt-like or ionic hydride. In second one, that is what type of hydride it is? Covalent hydride or molecular hydride. And third one is nothing but metallic hydride. Third one is metallic hydride, or else we consider it as non-stoichiometric hydride. Non-stoichiometric hydride. Isn't it? In that first one is already discussed. That means S block elements forms saline hydride. Whenever first group and second group element reacts with hydrogen, it forms a saline hydride or else salt-like hydride, isn't it? So we already discussed about that. So that is nothing but saline or ionic hydride. Second one, I'll consider second one. So that is covalent hydride. See this student, so this is very important. Covalent hydride, or else we consider it as molecular hydride. See, whenever we consider covalent hydride, so remember student, P block elements reacts with hydrogen and forms covalent hydride. See, covalent hydride forms with a p block element with except 18th group. See, 18th group elements are not reacting with hydrogen. See, clear? So p block element, that is nothing but 12, 13, 14. So these groups were react with hydrogen and forms what type of bond? So that is covalent hydrides. Covalent hydride. Is it clear? Covalent hydride. See, for example, I'll write here CH4 methane is one type of what? Covalent hydride. For example, NH3. Clear? Water, H2O, hydrogen fluoride. So these are nothing but your covalent hydride. Why the name covalent hydride? Because those form covalent bond. Those will form a covalent bond and these are violent in nature. Being covalent, it is violent in nature. That means it vigorously reacts in nature. Is it clear? Is it clear? In covalent hydride, again, this is classified into three types. First one is electron deficient hydride. Electron deficient hydride. Second one, we consider electron exact hydride. And third one, we consider it as electron-rich hydride. See, covalent hydrides are further classified into three types. First one is electron-deficient hydride. Second one is electron-exact hydride. Or third one is electron-rich hydride. So I'll consider first one in that. So that is nothing but electron-deficient. Electron-deficient hydride. See, so now the question arises, what is electron deficient hydride? See student, so deficient hydride forms with 30, that is nothing but your 13th group element. See, electron deficient groups are formed with 13 group element. Remember one point, electron deficient groups were formed with the 13th group element. That is nothing but boron family. Clear? So, boron family. Whenever hydrogen reacts with 13th group element, that will form what type of hydrides? Electron deficient covalent hydride. See student, I'll consider example here. So that is nothing but formation of aluminum hydride, or I'll consider BH3. See, actually BH3 is a dimer of composition is B2H6. Actually, its composition is B2H6. It is dimer of BH3. See, Boron contains 3 electron. Boron contains 3 electron. Boron contains 3 electron and 3 hydrogen were there. See, 3 hydrogen were there. Isn't it? So this is nothing but Lewis dot structure of that BH3. Isn't it? So further it will form B2H6 that we study in our later classes. Okay. But remember, in this case, it has a electron deficiency. Clear? So that means they do not have a sufficient electron to form a covalent bond according or to satisfy Lewis structure. See, for Lewis structure, there is no sufficient amount of electrons. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only 6 number of electrons were there. Clear? But in case of Lewis structure, we almost consider 8 electrons, isn't it? So that's why we consider this system as electron deficiency. Clear? Electron deficient. And see here, and this one, I'll just ring this, see, and this one, that is nothing but electron deficient center, also called as Lewis acid. See, we consider it as Lewis acid. See, student, about your Lewis acid and base, we'll study in equilibrium chapter, but I'll give one hint. See, whenever we consider Lewis acid, it is electron acceptor. It is electron acceptor. But whenever we consider Lewis base, it is electron donor. It is electron donor. Remember these 2 points, okay? The species which accepts electron is known as Lewis acid, and a species which donate electron is nothing but Lewis base. Just remember this point. Electron acceptor is acid. Electron donator is nothing but base. See, just acceptor, so that's why it is acid. Donor, that's why it is base. Just remember that point, okay? So that's why we consider these group as a Lewis acid, because those are electron deficient center. Deficient, so that's why these will accept electron from the other. Is it clear, student? Is this clear about electron deficient compound or electron deficient covalent hydride? Is it clear? See, you have to remember that group 13 element reacts with hydrogen and forms electron deficient. One thing. Another thing, it has a less, that means there is no sufficient amount of electron to form a covalent bond according to Lewis structure. And further, it is used as a Lewis acid. Why it is used as Lewis acid? Because there is no, that means there is no sufficient amount of electron. That means it is electron deficient center. So that's why it can accept electrons. So that's why we call it as Lewis acid. Clear? So electron deficient center it is. That's why it will gain electrons. So that's why we consider it as Lewis acid. So second one of that is electron exact. See, second one is electron exact. So you can tell me which group element can form electron exact covalent hydride? Which group of element or periodic table can act as electron exact hydride? Any idea, student? Yes. So that is nothing but 14th group. That is nothing but 14th group, which is also known as carbon family. That is also known as carbon family. See, first element, so that's why we call it as carbon family. See, in case of electron exact, so they have exact number of electrons. So that's why the name called exact number of electron to form covalent bond for Lewis structure. It has an exact number of electrons. That is very important. See, I'll consider some example in this case. For example, CH4. See, I'll consider example as methane, CH4. See, carbon, I'll consider it a center, and there are 4 lone pair of electron for carbon, and hydrogen, it has only 1 electron. So that's why I'll write in this way. See. So there are 8 electrons in this case. There are exact electron. Clear? So here there is no lone pair of electron present over that CH4. So that's my exact number of electrons were there to form a covalent bond to satisfy its Lewis structure. Clear? And the structure for this one is always tetrahedral. Remember this point, student. For electron exact covalent hydride, it has a tetrahedral structure. It has a tetrahedral structure. About this, we studied in sp hybridization. That is hybridization, isn't it? In case of sp3 hybridization, we studied about this structure, isn't it? For CH4. CH4. Clear? SiH4. So that is also another example for your. So you can consider 14th group element. Okay. Now you can consider 14th group element. So these are main points. See, in electron exact covalent bond, exact number of electrons were there to form a covalent bond to satisfy Lewis structure. Second one is example for those compound, that is CH4 or SiH4 or any compound of 14th group element. And next one, it has a tetrahedral structure. It has tetrahedral geometry. Clear? So next one, last one in case of covalent hybrid or hydride. So that is third one, electron rich hydride. Electron rich hydride. Any idea, student, which group element can form electron rich hydride? Which group elements can form? Yes. Only 15, 16, 17 group, but it never reacts with 18th group. That we already studied, isn't it? 15, 16, 17th group element can form electron rich hydride. That is, yes, nitrogen family, oxygen family, and fluorine family. So these can form electron rich hydride. Clear? So here we write it has more number of electrons. See, it has more number of electron to form a covalent bond. To satisfy which structure? Lewis structure. So now question arises, how these have more number of electron? See, for example, I'll consider an NH3 and H2O, and for example, hydrogen fluoride. So just I'll write its Lewis dot structure. See, student. So nitrogen, simple hydrogen, and it has a hydrogen, C, and there are 2 lone pair of electrons, isn't it? There are 2 lone pair of electrons. So now I'll consider this one, oxygen. There is one hydrogen. One bond is nothing but 2 electrons, isn't it? And there were 2 lone pair of electrons. And for hydrogen fluoride, see, it has how many lone pair of electron? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, student, in this case, we written it has a more number of electron. We written more number of electrons. See, student, so these two electrons, which were free, isn't it? So these two electrons, and these 3 pairs of electron, those were free, isn't it? There is no bond pair of electron in between that. That means those are lone pair of electron, isn't it? So those are nothing but lone pair of electron, and they were free. That means we can easily donate those electrons to form extra bonds, isn't it, student? We can easily donate those electrons to form a bond. So that's why, see, in this case we written, it has a more number of electron to form a covalent bond. See, these are covalent bond, isn't it? So these were covalent bond. This is covalent bond. This is also covalent bond. This is also covalent bond. So these are covalent bond, isn't it? But here, in this case, nitrogen has 2 extra electron for the covalent bond. And in this case, it has a 4 electron, which is extra. And in this case, it has a 6 electron, which is extra. So that's why we consider it as electron-rich hydride. Is it clear why we consider it as electron-rich hydride? Is this clear, student? So now we consider Lewis acid as electron acceptor. That means electron acceptor group is a Lewis acid. What about Lewis electron donor? What about electron donor? See, I already told you. So these are free. In this case, it has a one lone pair of electron. In this case, it has two lone pair of electron. In this case, it has three lone pair of electron. All these are free. That means those can easily donate by that atom or molecule. See, so this is, it donate 2 electron, it may donate 4 electron, it may donate 6 electron. So that's why we call it as, see, we call it as Lewis base. See, student, so that's why we call it as Lewis base. What do you mean by Lewis base? So this is electron rich hydride. So this one is electron rich hydride, and this can form a donation. That means electron donor. We can consider it as electron donor. Is it clear, student? See, these are some example: NH3, H2O, HF, or PH3. Clear? Or else if in case I'll consider this one HCl, HBr. So those are nothing but different example for which one? Electron rich hydride. Is this clear? Is this clear? Is this clear? Huh? Due to presence of lone pair of electron, so those are involved in the bond formation by donating those. So that's why we call it as a Lewis base. Clear? So now they may question you, see, in case of water, see, this is very important, student. I'll just give one hint for you. See, if in case I'll consider water, water is a liquid, but whenever we consider H2S, H2S is a gas. Any idea, student, why this difference? See, after, in case of your 16th group, first comes oxygen, after that it is sulfur, isn't it? Isn't it? So now it has the same property. It must have same property. But the thing here is H2O is a liquid, but H2S is a gas. Is there any one special kind of thing which exists in these? Think over it. I already mentioned there is a property such as donation of electron, isn't it? In this case, it has one electron, one lone pair of electron. In case of this, it has two lone pair of electron. In this case, it has a three lone. Yes, which one is electronegative? Yeah, oxygen is more electronegative than sulfur. But other thing, any other idea? Huh? There is hydrogen. Hydrogen is present there. Hydrogen is also present. And there is, yeah, you told electronegative atom. Is there any special type of bond between those? Is there any special type of bond between water molecule, but not in case of H2S? Any idea, student? Just think over it. I'll just write down like this, okay? Hydrogen, and in this case, I'll consider it as hydrogen, sulfur, hydrogen. See, after that, again, I'll consider oxygen molecule, oxygen, hydrogen. In this case, I'll consider sulfur, hydrogen. See, yes, that is a hydrogen bond. See, students, whenever we consider oxygen, nitrogen, and fluorine, there is a special type of bond. For example, hydrogen bond. See, in this case, this hydrogen of this molecule may attract with oxygen of another molecule. See, so this is nothing but your hydrogen bond. So this is nothing but hydrogen bond, isn't it? But there is no hydrogen bond in this case because you have to consider first three, that is nothing but fluorine, oxygen, and nitrogen. We consider almost these three elements. Clear? So that's why, see, water is a liquid and H2S is a gas. See, in this case, there is no such force of attraction, but that means there is no hydrogen bond between two molecules. But in case of water molecule, there is a hydrogen bond. That means there is a force of attraction between them. If source of attraction increases, the solvent or the substance will start to convert from gas to liquid state, isn't it? But there is no such intermolecular force of attraction, so that's why. So this is a gas, But in this case, there is a hydrogen bond, so that's why it exists as a liquid. So if question may ask, water is in a liquid state, but H2S is a gas, give reason. What will be the reason? See, in case of water, oxygen is more electronegative and it will form a hydrogen bond. It will form a hydrogen bond. So that's why it is a liquid and it is gas. Remember this point, students. This is very important. Clear? Now my question, if we consider boiling point, which one has high boiling point in this two? H2O and H2S. Which one has the highest boiling point? See, just tell me which one has the highest boiling point? Students, just reply. In these two cases, in this water and H2S, which one has highest boiling point? Brinda? Yes. Water has high boiling point than H2S. This may be asked, why? Because in case of water, there is a hydrogen bond and it is a special case of dipole-dipole bond. Is it clear? Is it clear, students? So this is very important point. See, 1 marks question it is. 1 marks question. Why water has a higher boiling point than H2S, or why water exists in a liquid state but H2S exists in a gaseous state. Clear? So then we will move towards third type of hydride. So that is which one? Metallic hydride. See, third one it is metallic hydride, or we call it as non-stoichiometric hydride. So see, student, so now what are the variation, or which type or which group of element can form metallic hydride? Any idea, student? Which? Yes. So here see S is over, S forms ionic bond, that means ionic saline or ionic type, and second one is your P block and it forms covalent, and third one is metallic hydride, those will be of D and F. Very important, yes. D and F. D block elements and F block elements reacts with hydrogen and forms which type of bond? Metallic hydride. See, there is one exception. See, that is nothing but here you have to consider some important thing. See, in this case, why we call it as a non-stoichiometry? Why we call it as a non-stoichiometry? That is very important, isn't it? We call it as non-stoichiometry. But in case of covalent or ionic, it is stoichiometry. That means it will follow law of definite proportion. But in this case, it do not obey. It do not obey constant law of constant proportion. So that's why we call it as non-stoichiometric. See, student, I'll give some example in this case. So these examples are very tricky. See, lanthanum hydride with around 2.87. See, hydrogen is around 2.87. Or else, if in case I'll consider another example as titanium hydride, where it is 1.5 to 1.8. 1.5 to 1.8. See, if in case I'll write a lanthanum hydride, it is a stoichiometric ratio. But in this case, it is different, isn't it? So that means there is no stoichiometry in this case. That means it will never obey the law of constant proportion. So that's why we call these elements as an interstitial. Some of these elements as interstitial hydrides. So now the question arises, what is interstitial hydride? See, student, about this we have another chapter, that is solid state. But here I'll just give a hint for you. See, if the solvent or if the substance is filled with 4 atoms, see, if in case I'll consider this as a lanthanum, this is also lanthanum. Just imagine this is not a proper thing of any. See, in this case, there is some void, isn't it? See, student, we consider atom as a sphere. We consider atom as a sphere. If I join those sphere or consider it as a ball, okay? If I arrange those balls very tightly, in that case also there will be some empty space, isn't it? There will be some empty space. For example, see, if in case I'll just arrange these. There will be some what? Empty space, isn't it? See here, there will be some empty space. And we call it as interstitial site. We call it as interstitial site. Clear, student? So those voids are known as interstitial site. If hydrogen is present in that site, in that case, those type of hydrogens were known as interstitial hydride. See, not all D and F block elements will form interstitial hydride. Only 4 types, that is nothing but, see, write down this point, student. Interstitial hydride can form with nickel, palladium, then it is with actinium, so that is AC, actinium, and last one is nothing but cerium. So these 4 elements only can form interstitial hydride. So you can remember in this way, see, nickel, selenium acting on palladium. Nickel, selenium acting on palladium. So it is a hint, nickel, selenium or cerium acting on palladium. So act is nothing but AC, so that is nothing but your actinium. Okay, so these 4 elements only forms interstitial hydride. That means in these 4 atom only, what happens? Hydrogen will stuck in between these sites. That is nothing but interstitial site, and that's why we call it as interstitial hydride. Remember this point. This is very important point. Clear? Is it clear, student? Why we call it as an interstitial site? Why we call it as interstitial site? Because there is some empty space where hydrogen can place. But not all the element can form that type of hydride. Only these 4. Clear? So next one, see, we consider D and F block element, isn't it? But one thing you have to remember, 7th group elements of, very important point, 7th group, 8th group and 9th group, elements of 7th, 8th and 9th group do not form metallic hydride. And that gap, that means 7th, 8th, 9th, whole ratio were not reacting with hydrogen, isn't it? So that's why these are known as hydride gap. See, new word, it is hydride gap. 1 marks question may be asked from this. See, hydride gap. Remember this point, hydride gap, and this one, interstitial hydride. So those are called as hydride gap. See here, 7th, 8th, 9th. 7th, 8th, 9th group of element, that is manganese, iron and cobalt family. So those will never react with hydrogen, and that's why we call it as hydride gap. Another important thing for this, in case of 6th group, in sixth group also, only chromium can act, only chromium can reacts with hydrogen to form hydride. See, students, so these all things you have to remember because it is important for 1 marks question. See, first one, it do not obey law of constant proportion. Second one, it is also known as interstitial hydride. When it comes towards this one, nickel, cerium, actinium and palladium, so these were known as interstitial. Next one, elements of 7th, 8th, 9th group do not form metallic form. Because of that, we call it as hydride gap. Because of that, we call it as hydride gap. And last one, in case of sixth group also, chromium only can react to form a hydride. But in all the other elements in that group, never reacts with hydrogen. Is this clear, student? Is this clear? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 point. And there is another point, see, another point for this one, sixth one. So that is nothing but palladium and platinum. Palladium and platinum also forms metallic hydride. Also forms metallic hydride. And here, absorption of hydrogen is at high rate. See, absorption of hydrogen is at high. So that means high concentration of hydrogen present over that palladium or platinum. See, just listen carefully. So some of metal like palladium and platinum can absorb large amount of hydrogen gas. See, it absorbs large amount of hydrogen gas. So that's why we consider this as source of hydrogen. See, we consider it as a source of hydrogen. We consider these as a source of hydrogen. And why these source of hydrogen is used? See, student, in organic chemistry, especially in case of organic chemistry, we use this as a catalyst. What is catalyst? What do you mean by catalyst, student? What do you mean by catalyst? A species which were added to a reaction to enhance the rate of reaction, to increase the rate of reaction, isn't it? So that is known as catalyst. See, organic chemistry, we use palladium and platinum as a catalyst for hydrogenation. So now question arises, what is hydrogenation? Hydrogenation is nothing but addition of hydrogen. Addition of hydrogen. See, I'll give some example. See, we have a hydrocarbons are presented. In that case, we'll study it in detail, but I'll give some example here. See, in this case, that is nothing but CH2 double bond CH2. See, I have to supply 2 molecules of hydrogen to completely change its composition to CH3. See, so this is nothing but ethene. I have to convert it into ethane. See, this one is ethene and I have to convert it into ethene. So that means I have to supply hydrogen to this one, isn't it? I have to supply hydrogen to this one. But hydrogen is a gas. So that's why we can't directly supply hydrogen to the system. So that's why we use these catalysts. That is nothing but palladium or platinum catalyst. Over that, hydrogen is placed and it will react with this amount of ethene and it will convert it into ethene. See, here we use this as a catalyst, isn't it? Catalyst for a hydrogenation. Hydrogen is nothing but addition of hydrogen. See, 2 molecules or 2 hydrogen is added to this one to form a CH3. Is this clear, students? Is this clear? Students, is this clear about metallic hydride? So these are very important points regarding metallic hydride. Is this clear, Brenda? Okay. See, these are such important points. You have to remember that and you have to note in your notes. Next one is about compounds of hydrogen. Compound of hydrogen. So that is very important compound of hydrogen. So that is water. See, student, water is an essential one, isn't it? Isn't it? Water. See, water it is. And its chemical composition is H2O. Its chemical composition is H2O. See, it is an important hydride. It is hydride of oxygen. It is hydride of oxygen. It is a hydride of oxygen. See student, around 75% of Earth is filled with water. Isn't it? So Earth's surface is filled around 75% of water. See, 75% of water is on Earth's surface. On Earth's surface. Isn't it? Huh? What about in our body? What about in our body, student? How many percent of water is filled in our body? Just tell me. Or our body is filled with dash percent of water. Any idea? Any idea, student? It is around 65% of human body is filled with water. It is filled with water. And remember, there were some plants which were filled with 95% of water. So that means if in case we just imagine our whole earth or whole universe without a water, so in that case the survival of human being or plant or animal is very difficult, isn't it? So that means water is one of the essential thing which was required for living organism, isn't it? So that's why see 95% of some plants were filled with water. Clear? So now, what are the properties of water? So we know and we already know about the uses or the importance of water, isn't it? So that's why no need to study about water. Isn't it? Importance of water. But we have to study about properties of water. See, I'll consider some important properties of water. What are the properties of water, students? Just tell me. Properties of water. First one, physical property, just tell me. Yes, it is a colorless. Very good. It is colorless. Colorless. Next. Yes, tasteless. Tasteless. Next, odorless. Odorless liquid, isn't it? So there is no smell, there is no taste, there is no color for that. It is colorless, odorless, and tasteless, isn't it? Liquid. Next one, second one. See, here I'll consider due to hydrogen bond, the property of water is due to hydrogen bond, the properties of water is different from other oxides of hydrogen. Clear? Or other oxides of element or other hydrides of element. In this case, due to hydrogen bond, its boiling point is high. It has a high boiling point. It has high boil. We don't use melting point in this case because water is a liquid, so that's why we consider its boiling point. It has a high boiling point. See, student, see, in this case, if in case I'll consider hydrogen with water, see, oxygen, hydrogen, and hydrogen. Again, I'll consider oxygen, hydrogen, and hydrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, and hydrogen. See, if in case I'll consider molecules of hydrogen, several molecules of hydrogen, there may exist which type of bond? See, in this case, it is a hydrogen bond. In this case, it is a hydrogen bond. Here also there is a hydrogen bond. In this case also it is hydrogen bond. In this case also hydrogen bond. See, this is also hydrogen bond. Again, if in case you are considering this one, this is also your hydrogen bond. Isn't it? Isn't it? If in case I'll consider this one, this is also hydrogen bond. See, due to hydrogen bond, its properties are different. Its properties are first one, see, for high boiling point. See, what is boiling point, student? It is a energy required or it is a temperature which can break the normal bonds present in that, isn't it? To break a bond, to break these bonds, these all bonds, it requires high energy, isn't it? Isn't it, student? So that's why it has a high boiling point. Second one is, again, it has a high freezing point. It has a high freezing point. Next one is about, it has a high heat of vaporization. High heat of vaporization. See, what is vaporization? What is vaporization? Vapors, to convert it into vapors. Then it has a high heat of fusion. It has a high heat of fusion. You know about fusion, isn't it? So convert it into fuse, to fuse, melt. Clear? It has a high heat of fusion. Clear? Clear? Or one thing I already discussed, water is a liquid. Water is a liquid, but H2S is a gas. H2S gas. And this is again due to hydrogen bond. This property is due to hydrogen bond. Is this clear? Is this clear? Is this clear, students? So next one, we'll study about structure of hydrogen. See, student, we'll study about structure of hydrogen. See, we already studied about structure of hydrogen. Structure of hydrogen. Structure of water it is, not a hydrogen. Structure of water. I'll write it in terms of water, okay? Because H2O is a composition of ice also. So that's why write it as a water. See, I'll just tell you detail structure of this this one structure, okay? First one, I'll consider oxygen. Its electronic atomic number is 8 and its electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4 actually, isn't it? Then I'll consider orbital diagram. So this one is second S and this one is second P. So this one is 2s and this one is 2px, this one is 2py and this one is 2pz. So now I'll just fill the electrons into this. See, in S there are 2 electrons, so that's why I'll consider in this way 2 electrons. In second case there are 4 electrons. According to Hund's rule, you have to fill each orbit with 1 electron. After that pairing will start, isn't it? So that's why in this way. Is it clear? Is it clear? So now see, hydro water will form which hybridization? It forms sp3 hybridization. It forms sp3 hybridization. What is the shape of, or what is the geometry of sp3 hybridization, student? What is the geometry of sp3 hybridization? What is the geometry of sp3 hybridization, which we already discussed? What is the hybridization of sp3 hybridization? Sorry, what is the geometry of sp3 hybridization? Brunda, Rakshit? Bent? No, I don't want about hydrogen, water. But the question is about sp3 hybridization. What is the regular structure of sp3 hybridization? What is the regular structure of sp3? It is tetragonal structure, isn't it? It is tetragonal structure. It is tetragonal structure. Isn't it? It is tetragonal structure. See, I'll just draw that structure for this one. See, 1 electron, or else I'll consider in this way. See, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Isn't it? Isn't it? But in this case, in case of oxygen, see, it will be oxygen at the center, hydrogen it will be here, and there were 2 lone pair of electrons. Isn't it? But in case of sp3 hybridization, it has a tetrahedral structure. It has a tetrahedral structure with the bond angle around 109.5 degree. 109.5 degree. But in this case, its bond angle is 104.5. 104.5. Why, student? Why bond angle of water is less than that of bond angle of tetragonal structure? Bond angle of water molecule is less than that of bond angle of tetrahedral structure. Any idea? See, we already discussed about this, isn't it? We already learned about this. So there is a lone pair of electron, there is a bond pair of electron. Which theory will be there? Which theory can explain the structure of this one? Students, reply. Which theory? See, valence shell, electron, repulsion theory, VSEPR theory, where lone pair, where we consider lone pair interaction is more than lone pair bond pair interaction, which is more than bond pair interaction, isn't it? Here, these two are lone pair interaction. That is more. I consider this way, isn't it? Here, there is a oxygen. Oxygen is present in this case. These two are nothing but lone pair, and these are nothing but bond pair. So, whenever the distance between lone pair increases, what will happen? Distance between bond pair decreases. See, whenever I'll just increase the bond between lone pair, what will happen? The angle between bond pair decreases. Clear? So that's why in case of water, bond angle is 104.5. But in case of tetrahedral structure, it is around 109.5. You must know this, okay? Next one. Here, there were some points. Just write down those. See, student, if in case I'll consider again water molecule, which one is electronegative in this case? Just tell me, which one is electronegative in this case? Oxygen is electronegative. See, it is electropositive, partial electropositive. This is also having electropositivity, isn't it? Where oxygen have plus, that means two electronegativity, two molecules of electronegativity. Clear? So that means it is a partial negative, two times partial negative, because delta plus to balance that we need two delta minus, isn't it? So that's why, see, it is a polarity. I will show this in terms of this, isn't it? See, this will add and it will give a which type of moment? Dipole moment. See, student, I think you can't see this. See here, oxygen, hydrogen, it is partially positive, it is also partially positive, it is partially negative, isn't it? So that's why, see, dipole moment, how will write dipole moment in this way, isn't it? Positive and this is negative. So these two add and gives a dipole moment. It gives a dipole moment. Dipole moment where mu is not equals to 0. Mu is not equals to 0. So that's why these are highly polar. These are highly polar molecules. These are highly polar molecules. So this is first point. Is this clear? How polarity exists? That is around 1.84 dBi. 1.84 dBi. Clear? Second point. Here, in a liquid form, see, in liquid form, it undergo association. See, undergo associated with hydrogen bond, See, I already discussed this here. In this case, blue one is your molecule of water and this green one is nothing but hydrogen bond, isn't it? So this will, in a liquid form, associated with hydrogen. The molecules of waters were associated with the hydrogen bond. Clear? Next point. In a crystalline form, crystalline form of water is called as ice. Crystalline form of water is called as ice. And fourth point is ice crystallizes. See, ice crystallizes in hexagonal structure. See, about ice and its structure, we'll study in our next class, okay? There will be structure like this, hexagonal structure like this. About this, we'll study in our next class, okay? So here, just write down, ice crystallize in a hexagonal structure. Clear? And ice condenses in a cubic form. Next one, next important questions, simple question it is. Density of which ice or water is more? Why ice floats over the water? Why ice float over the ice? Sorry, water. Why ice float over the ice? Student, any idea? Why ice cube float over the ice? Which one has a high density? Which one has a high density, Rakshit? Which one has high density? Just tell me. Density of water, and in next I'll consider it as density of ice. Which one is more? Density of water is more than that of density of ice. So that's why ice will float over the water. Is it clear? See, now we'll consider why density of ice is lesser than water. That have same answer, that is nothing but structure of ice, which we'll study in our next class. Till now, is it clear, student? Is it clear? Polar nature, this one, see this one, and for aggregation or association, this one. See, those will aggregate or associate to form a liquid compound, and which has a high boiling point, high freezing point, high vaporization power. So these all things are due to hydrogen bond. Clear? In our tomorrow's class, we'll study about structure of ice. Okay, structure of ice and some important, or else I'll consider here itself. See, last 2 minutes I'll consider. Last 2 minutes I'll extend this class. Okay, about structure of ice. We'll just draw the structure of ice. See, student, structure of ice. It is a hexagonal structure, isn't it? See, oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. So there were 6 oxygen in this case, and middle of this is with hydrogen. See, almost we consider in this way. See, there is one bond, another bond, and there will be 2 bonds. See, next one. This is your hydrogen bond. This is one also. One is, see, student, easy one it is. Dotted lines are hydrogen bond. Dotted lines are hydrogen bond. See, here on hydrogen is present. Next. Next one. For convenient, I'll consider dotted line with red color. Okay, see, dotted line with red color. See, so this is one molecule of which one? See, and these 2 are hydrogen bond. Here, see, these 2 are hydrogen bond. Actually, it will be like this, okay, because it is bent structure, isn't it? So that's why this is hydrogen bond. Clear? Next one, see, this is again same. Dotted lines are hydrogen bond. Dotted lines are hydrogen bond. Dotted lines are hydrogen bond. See, this is also dotted line. So this is also dotted line. So this is also dotted line. So this is actual structure of ice. This is actual structure of ice. See, if in case I'll consider it is a hexagonal structure. See, student, everywhere there is a one molecule of, see, I'll consider with a blue marker. See, so this one is one water molecule. So this one is another water molecule. So this one is another water molecule. And this one is another water molecule. And here is a water molecule. And here is a water molecule. Clear? Almost 6 water molecules were there. 6 water molecules were there. See, and this space is empty, isn't it? So this space is empty. See, we are considering ice. This space is empty, and that will be filled with what? air. Clear? So that's why its density decreases than water. Therefore, the decrease of density of water increases. See, X-ray studies will show that each oxygen is surrounded with a tetrahedrally by 4 atoms. See, student, if in case I'll consider one, two, and there is another one here, 3 and 4. Almost 4 oxygens were covered with this. Clear? And hydrogen bond gives ice a open wide. See, this is an open wide place. And due to this, density of the ice decreases and density of water increases. So that's why ice float over the water surface. Is this clear, students? Is this clear? Is this clear? In tomorrow's class, we'll study about properties of water. We'll study about properties of. This is very easy chapter, and you can easily study. So for examination, I already mentioned this is also one of the chapter. So already I discussed some of questions. It may appear in your exam, okay, or test. Okay, students, take care, study well. Bye.